Jeff, do you want to give it till 5 after?
Marcy, what was the number prior to start?
22?
Including us?
No, just attendees.
Okay.
Oh.
We're probably good, Shelley.
Okay. All right. Oops. 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 Oh. Okay. All right. I'd like to call tonight's the Salto School District Board of Trustees meeting to order. With my gavel. Okay. I'd like to announce that a recording and/or broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board, and the recording and/or broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. I would now like to move on to D1 and do a roll call. I'm just gonna do it according to the tiles on my screen. Ms. Spicer?
Here.
Mr. Ivanovich?
Here.
Mr. Taglio?
Here.
Mr. Johnson? Brian Johnson is not here today. And I, Shelley Sirke, am here. Let's move on to D2, agenda approval. If any board members would like to provide comment on the agenda, please raise your hand or use the raise your hand button and turn on your microphone when your name is called. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jessica. Vladimir made the motion, Jessica seconded, and we'll go through a roll call vote. Jessica?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to D3, closed session report. No action was taken in closed session, therefore I have nothing to report. D4, superintendent's update. Mr. Baer, would you like to comment?
Yeah, just one comment this evening. Just Sandra will talk just a bit about it in the first agenda item, but it was great to see our special day class students returning to campus today, bringing some students back to our campuses. It was just, I did not get to visit today, let them settle in, but saw plenty of pictures and heard reports from all of our principals and some of our teachers about just the return of our students and how excited they were and how good it was to see them. So thank you for support in that reopening, and it is underway. So back to you, Shelley.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the consent calendar. Do any board members, if any of you would like to make a comment on the consent items, please raise your hand. Use the raise your hand button and turn on your microphone. Oh boy. Anyone? No one. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve consent items E1 through E5, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. Can I have a second, please?
A second.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, Vladimir made the motion, Jessica seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Spicer?
Yes.
Mr. Ivanovich?
Yes.
Mr. Taglio?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. On to employee requests to address the board. From Los Altos Teachers Association is Ms. Allison Gentile. Available? Allison?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you to the board and to Jeff and Sandra for submitting your little video for our teachers. I know that we all appreciated it, and little things go a long way, especially in 2020. A couple new things to share. Friday, we had a productive professional development day. I was fortunate enough to lead a K-5 math office hours. And in the midst of all this crazy pandemic and world that we live in, teachers were still talking really intentional about math assessments and academic conversation in a virtual world, which is just high quality math instruction that isn't skimping for our kids right now. So another great thing that I wanted to talk about is that our kids got back on campus today in our special day classes. We really can't thank our special day teachers and all of our staff enough. They're really on the front lines. I talked to a couple of teachers. They said that the kids were happy to be back, but of course there's some logistical things that, you know, we need more support with. Little things like sanitizing stations. They need to be fully stocked and checked daily. And then also this balance of the in-person teaching with the virtual teaching. And I'm really hoping that we can learn from how our special day teachers are doing, and that when our younger kids go back and eventually when we all go back, that we learn from them. We have a lot of really nervous teachers, and there's so many unanswered questions about going back into this blended model. So we really just need to have patience and have support from you guys and Jeff and Sandra. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Ms. Dickerson from the California School Employees Association.
Hi, I'm Kimberly. I'm the treasurer of our local CSEA chapter. And since I was on the agenda later, Jason asked me to say a few words on behalf of the executive board. I would like to recognize all the hard work and flexibility of our members during this unprecedented time. Specifically, we would like to give a big thank you and shout out to Kim Albright and all the technology specialists who have really been working so hard to ensure that all the systems are in place for distance and hybrid learning. We want to thank the maintenance department who's had to adapt to the ever-changing cleaning requirements and schedules and reopening preparations. We want to say thank you to the librarians for their flexibility as they start to take on the distribution of the lunch program, and in addition to rolling out the curbside book checkout. And finally, a big thank you to Jason Kalballer, who has been working nonstop behind the scenes to deliver lunches, food, PPE, curriculum materials, just everything throughout the district and throughout the summer. He finally just took his first day off on Friday. So I also want to thank Jason for serving as the president of our chapter, because he's really concerned about everybody, all the members, and wants to work with the district to address the classified staff's concerns about safety and reopening too. So he's been a real true gem and we appreciate him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
It was wonderful to hear. All right, we're going to move on to item G. This time is reserved for citizens and employees to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. The board is not permitted to discuss or take action on non-agenda items, except to instruct the superintendent to review the matter further, report back to the board at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. The board may make a brief comment or ask clarifying questions. So we will now take public comment on items not on the agenda. To comment on this agenda item, members of the public should use the raise hand button if using the Zoom app, or press *9 if using your phone. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. Prior to providing your comment, please be sure your microphone is on. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. Okay. Do we have anyone? Okay, looks like no. All right, moving on. Ms. Dickerson, you're back up again. Art Docent update. Kimberly Dickerson will provide an update on the Art Docent program. Oh, and Mrs. McGonigal.
There we go. I will just welcome Kimberly, who's our program manager for the Art Docent program. I know Kimberly is excited to share a lot about the 50th anniversary of the Art Docents and talk a little bit about how the program has adapted, and it has adapted fabulously for this school year. And so I really want to thank Kimberly and Sarah, the staff behind the scenes really making sure that our kids continue to get great art instruction and really creative experiences this year. So Kimberly, take it away.
Thank you, Sandra, and thanks for having me here. As Sandra mentioned, we have been busy trading in our red aprons for our red masks. And we are also celebrating 5 decades of service to the Los Altos School District this year. And since many of our docents, and perhaps some of you, weren't even born when our program started in 1970, I dug around to find some details to give our beginning a little bit of historical context. Marcy, can you switch to the next slide? So as you can see, the 1970 was a tumultuous time. Americans celebrated the first Earth Day. Congress passed the National Environmental Policy Act. Many marginalized groups fought for equality, and protests were very violent. Here in California, the passage of the Ryan Act eliminated art and music requirements for elementary teachers' preparation, which prompted our 2 co-founders, Marlene Grove and Nancy Marston, to bring an art enrichment program to our district. Next slide. So 50 years later, here we are reimagining how to do this in a pandemic world, where it seems to have lots of similarities to our first year. However, with this traumatic event, we feel art is even more important than ever. Empirical studies suggest that art does improve health and well-being. So this year, we are thrilled to provide even more art opportunities for students than we ever have before. Next slide. We have adapted many of our current grade-specific art lessons into videos that students can do at home with materials that they have on hand at home. Each grade level will be exposed to approximately 3 to 5 of our existing lessons in an asynchronous format, utilizing the LASD learning plan and using supplies that they have access to at home. Next slide. Each week, we are providing a brand new non-grade specific art lesson for students to do at their own pace at home, giving students and their families the opportunity to explore and participate in art activities that are in line with our mission and these unique times. These new lessons are more open-ended and introduce themes, art movements, specific artist styles, and/or focus on Black, brown, and female artists. Next slide. All of our lesson plans are available to teachers and students through the district specials website. Students or teachers can assign lessons to their classrooms by providing links to our site. Next slide. Each grade level has their own page where you can find the lesson of the week followed by the grade specific lessons. And on the next slide, you'll see we also have compiled a collection of read-aloud books related to art and provided an art library, which is available to supplement some of our lessons. Next slide. Every elementary school student in the district has received an artist quality commemorative art docent anniversary sketchbook, providing 50 prompts for sketch ideas. Board members also received a copy on their porch today. Because sketching is such a cathartic activity for artists of any age level or skill. Sketching truly provides a range of mental and physical health benefits, sort of akin to meditation. Next slide. Feedback from the parents about the sketchbook has been really positive. To quote one Springer parent, "I just wanted to say that my kids love the art docent sketchbooks. They've spent endless hours working on the projects in the book. What a cool gift. Thank you so much." So we're really happy that this project, which we started about 9 months ago, actually came to fruition and actually makes more sense in this pandemic world than it ever did before. So we're very excited that kids are using this and enjoying this as well. Next slide. Starting next week, we'll start office hours to give students some live interactions about art. These optional monthly sessions by grade level will allow students an opportunity to share their work, ask questions. We'll play some art-related games and have some drawing and technique-based instructions for them during this time frame. And the sessions will be 30 minutes long. We'll have docents available for this and break out into small groups, so they'll have an opportunity to actually interact with some of the docents who are so missing our children too. Next slide. And as always, we plan to showcase student art with virtual art shows for each of the schools in the district. Last spring, we tried a art show at Springer using Artsonia, and we found that it was a little clunky and required a lot of work on the parents' behalf. So this year, we're going to do something using a Google slide presentation and collect the art ourselves and make it available as a link to each school to be able to put on their own website. And that'll be happening later in the year. And then the next slide, Marcy. In recognition of our 50th anniversary, the Los Altos History Museum is helping us with an exhibit called Young at Art, where we will highlight the pieces from the 95 school students' work who submitted art for our logo contest last spring, and that will open on the 8th of October. So you can visit that online exhibit to enjoy hand-drawn and computer graphic designs with wonderful use of color and balance and line in their unique compositions to commemorate our 50-year legacy. We as a group really had a hard time deciding on that winning logo for the sketchbook. So we're excited that all the students who participated will have their work shown in this exhibit for the whole community. Next slide. So as you can see, the art docents are not slowing down our efforts to ensure that all elementary students in Los Altos have access to quality arts education, even in the context of distance or hybrid learning. We sincerely thank you, the board, all of our volunteers, and LAEF for your continued support of the visual arts, and we appreciate that for all of our future generations of innovators coming out of our district. Does anyone have any questions for me while I'm here about what we're doing?
Board members, if you have any questions regarding the presentation, please use the raise your hand button, and we'll call on you. Quick questions before. None? Okay. Well, let's now take public comment. To comment on this agenda item, members of the public should use the raise hand button if using the Zoom app, or press *9 if using your phone. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. Prior to providing your comment, please be sure your microphone is on. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. Do we have anyone who wants to make any comments? Okay, awesome. Okay, well, in that case, if any board members would like to provide comment, please use your raise your hand button and turn on your microphone when your name is called.
I used old school hand.
I seriously don't even know where to look. Can I just say raise your physical hand?
Yes.
Vladimir's got his physical and digital
I
hand.
actually physically rose my hand and unmuted myself. I just wanted to thank Kimberly and the whole Los Altos Art Docent team. It's been amazing how you've moved into this new medium, as it were. And I can tell you on the front lines as a parent with a 5th grade daughter who's creative, all the stuff that you've been doing, at least in her grade level, is amazing. And she, the book you gave to her and you gave to us, she's already using and having a great time with it. And it gets her away from the screen. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Vladimir?
Kimberly, thank you. Thank you, and all the other docents. Even though I come from a very strong STEM background, I really believe that art is super important for a whole variety of reasons. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm pretty sure that our parents appreciate what you're doing and our kids. So thanks enormously for the work that you're doing.
Steve, do you have a comment or anything?
In my usual format, I just want to echo what the other two have said. It definitely, we still have art hanging on the wall when the kids went through the art schools with you guys. So yeah, that isn't coming down anytime soon. So they both left the country. It's kind of one of the daily reminder to see that hanging there in the kitchen. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I want to echo my fellow board members and thank you, Kimberly, and all the other art docents. Like my other board members, I have saved all of my daughter's art docent art. It's just so beautiful to look at. And thank you so much for the book. This is just, I love this kind of stuff, and I really believe in art therapy. And I love the way that you've connected with families, you know, not just with the student, but with the families during this time. I'm just curious if you're going to have version 2 of this sketchbook.
Something we can think about. We need to raise some more funds, though.
Well, it's very cool, and I don't know. I think, you know, this would make a great gift. You know, $5 a pop. Anywho, well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All righty. Moving on to our next agenda item. Report on the opening of school, return to in-person learning. Staff will provide updates on the status of students returning to in-person learning and Santa Clara County's move to substantial on California's blueprint for a safer economy. Mr. Bear.
Yeah, I'll hand over to Sandra quickly here. Want to report out on what has happened to date in our schools. And we do have a big marker coming up, so we want to share some information on that as well. Sandra?
Yep, thank you. Can I go to the next slide? So as you've heard a couple of times, our special day classes return today, which is so fantastic. I was getting a stream of distant photos from schools across our district. So to give a little context, we had 42 students come across our 5 schools today, from preschool, our preschool program, through 8th grade at both of our junior high schools. So within that, that's 9 classroom teachers, 32 of our great support staff to staff those classes as well. And from every report I heard, from preschool where mask wearing was happening and without great problems, and across the spectrum, students were tolerating their masks. Teachers were great about providing breaks outside so students could get a little time away. Social distancing, I heard a lot. I know there was some concern about whether or not some of our most severe students would be able to really understand the importance of social distancing, and it was not a problem. Everybody seemed to really understand. Our teachers are so fantastic about using visual reminders. So I have a couple of photos coming up, but this idea of using tape and markers on the classroom carpet, so students really understood what their space is, which is fantastic. And then each of our schools, as a process, started the day with a walk through campus. So for some of our kids, it was back to their campus that they perhaps haven't been to since last year, or for our preschoolers, for many of them, it's a new experience, but really walking through the space and understanding and seeing visually the changes, understanding the new bathroom procedures, looking at all of the new signage and markings throughout campus, the 6-foot dots, the reminders to wash your hands, all of those different pieces. So each of our schools began their day with a walk through their space, so students really understood what those expectations are. Next slide. So just a couple of pictures. This is Loyola School. You can see, I think we have 5 of our students here and 5 adults working. And so each of our classrooms had a space for their drop-off area, a way to really kind of see the space, both for that drop-off and pickup space, and then the routes across campus. So next slide. This is over at Santa Rita in our therapeutic special day class. In the corner there, you might see Amanda Zongi, one of our teachers over at Santa Rita, and 2 students. So you can see how the classroom was set up, how students have, in this particular room, a desk for their work and a desk for their stuff, and they are distanced. Amanda is wearing one of her face shields with the gaiter, or I can't remember what the other term for it is, that's tucked into her shirt. And so teachers have the option to do that if that's more comfortable, or if it's a mask and a face shield together. Next slide. And then just a last picture. This is one of our primary spaces. So you can see some markings on the floor for when they might do their morning meeting. at the chair there, but then also you can see over on the side there, one individual student space with that marking as well. Next slide. I can't remember if I have one more for this. So we are thrilled to have students back on campus. It's just terrific. And we thank the families and teachers and staff who came in to make it happen for kids today. And you also, I'm sure, know that today was the day where we asked families to let us know if they wanted a program switch. So my data is based on about 4 p.m. today, and I don't know if there have been any additional requests. But looking at what the program switch requests from families. So we had 79 students who indicated that they want to move from the current blended program into virtual school. The majority of those 79 are TK, K, and first grade students, but there are some second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth students. And then you can see we had 18 who wanted to go in the opposite direction for whatever reason. And again, the majority of those are TK, K, and 1, but not exclusively. I think we had 1 or 2 requests at the junior high level, but really at this point, it doesn't make an impact on that individual child's program right now. So our next steps here tomorrow is looking closely at the data down to student, teacher, staffing, and what changes may need to be made. Right now, our virtual school is fairly well staffed, saying that there are plenty of spots in most grade levels. So we will see what we can absorb without having to do actual staffing changes. And then we'll look to see if there are any needs on that front too. And then so the goal is to kind of get our services up and running to make sure teachers know what changes they might be getting either from within their classroom, students moving to blended, or new students or vice versa, you know. So that is the job for this week, is to really drill down into this data and understand the staffing implications. I think that was my last slide. Any questions you have?
Okay, I don't see any hands up from any of our board members. Okay, we will now take public comment on this agenda item. To comment on this agenda item, members of the public should use the raise hand button if using the Zoom app, or press *9 if using your phone. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. Prior to providing your comment, please be sure your microphone is on. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. So let's see. Okay. I don't see any hands up from any of our attendees. Board members, if you would like to make a comment, please use the raise your hand button and turn on your microphone when your name is called. Anybody? Oh, Vladimir was covered up by participant list. Go ahead, Vladimir.
Sandra, it's and Jeff. Thank you for all the planning that went into this. I think you probably are relieved that it went so well, and that's a testament to the amount of work that you put in, and also the amount of work that Jennifer and her crew put in. So thank you all for that. It's really wonderful to hear that it went smoothly.
Well, I will say the highlight of my day, you know, it's been very quiet at the district office for the last 7 months, missing kind of the noise of kids. It was so exciting today around recess time. I heard some little chatter and looked out the window, and there was a little posse of kids and a bunch of adults playing outside, which is just fantastic. It was really exciting to see. It was great.
And Vladimir, I appreciate the acknowledgement and sincerely, but I really want to recognize the fact that we have, you know, about 500 and some odd employees in this district. It is everyone pulling in the same direction right now to really pull this off, whether we have teachers in person or virtually or in the blended model. but still in distance learning right now. It's an incredible amount of work, but we're doing it, and we're doing right by students in this school district. We hear it from parents frequently, and appreciate the acknowledgement as well, because I know for our teachers who are in the classrooms making this happen every day, sometimes, sometimes that's not heard. So that recognition is important. So thanks.
Steve, Jessica, any further comments?
Nothing really to add. I'm happy with everything that's gone on so far. Really echo what Vladimir had to say and some.
Same from Steve, same from me. Thank you so much, Sandra, Jeff. We do have an amazing crew that works at LASD. It's one of the big reasons why it's such a special place. So thank you so much for all of your hard work, and just echoing Vladimir's comments. So thank you. All right, we're going to move on to H3, approval of the 2020-21 Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan. The Board of Trustees will consider approving the 2020-21 Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan. Mrs. McGonigal.
Absolutely. So last board meeting, I presented our new LCAP. We had a public hearing. And again, that LCAP outlines the work we're doing in distance learning, our blended model approach, our plans for ensuring that students are actually engaging in their learning, and how we are using our funds to mitigate learning loss across the board. So I hope that you will approve our new LCAP this evening.
Great, thank you. Do any board members have any clarifying questions regarding what Sandra just said? Please raise your hand. Okay, great. Public comment. We will now take public comment on this agenda item. To comment on this agenda item, members of the public should use the raise hand button if using the Zoom app, or press *9 if using your phone. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. Prior to providing your comment, please be sure your microphone is on. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. And I'll just quickly check and see if anybody, oops. Okay, I don't see any hands up. Board members, if you'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand. All right, none of, oh, Vladimir.
Sorry, I had to find my mouse there. Sandra, thank you for doing this. I know that you really, really regretted not doing the full LCAP, but you've done a really excellent job in this one here. So it's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can you all hear me? Okay, good. All righty. Well, yes, echoing as always, Vladimir's thanks. This has been quite a process, and I'm so glad that we're at this point now where we get to vote on this. So can I have a motion, please, to approve the 2020-2021 Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
I second.
Thank you, Jessica. Is there any further board discussion?
Just a comment that if you're the first one to go, then everybody gets to say, oh, I agree with Vladimir. Not anything special about me.
It depends what you have to say, Vladimir. All right, well, the motion was made by Vladimir and seconded by Jessica. We're gonna do a roll call vote. Ms. Spicer.
Yes.
Mr. Ivanovich.
Yes.
Mr. Taglio.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Back to the county tomorrow.
Woohoo, the fun never ends, does it? All right, moving on to H4, Equity Policy Update. Staff will provide an update on the equity policy work and development of a task force. Mr. Bear.
Yes, good evening. Pleased to bring this important item to the board tonight for an update. As you know, the board passed an updated equity policy back in the spring. probably about 6 months ago. We've been working on a great deal since then with our learning program, teaching and learning program in the district during this pandemic, trying to get school relaunched for the fall of this year. But along the way, we have also been pushing this forward as well. I'm going to hand off to 3 people in just a second, and I'll introduce them. But part of this is really having a driving force close to me centrally at the district office. And so Greg Drummond, who's a coordinator in the curriculum and instruction office, is actually running point on this particular project. And on the central leadership team, there's a small group of 3, and I want to introduce the other 2 as well. Bhavna Narula is principal at Block. I think you know her. You've met her a few times. And I think you have met Sarah through new teacher project presentations, probably. Sarah Gerlinger is our new teacher mentor, works with all of our first and second year teachers who need to clear their credentials. All 3 of these people really have a keen understanding of equity, what it means from various points of view, and how important it is for our students to ensure that we are doing right by each student in the district. So wanted to provide you an update tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to the team. Greg, do you want to start?
I will, yeah. I want to start, just thank you for inviting me here tonight. I know I'm here, one of many people in our organization who feel very strongly that public schools should be a place where outcomes for kids are not dependent on race, class, ethnicity, culture, gender, and the opportunity to participate meaningfully in some work to advance that agenda in Los Altos School District is truly incredible. As I've reread, next slide, as I've reread the policy, the equity policy several times, it has occurred to me how comprehensive it is in providing a blueprint for all of the areas that are truly critical to making this possible for kids. Everything from the way we are assessing students and looking at academic outcomes to the type of curricular resources we have in place that truly reflect the diversity in our community. There is allocation of resources within the school district, and having a staff that also reflects the diversity in the community. We have done a lot over the last few years, but there is certainly still work to do. And what I'd like to share with you a little bit is that we know that while, maybe we can go to the next slide, Marcy. While we know that the primary responsibility for actually developing and implementing the work falls on LASD staff, that one thing that we want to make sure of in our implementation is that we hear voices of people who are actually the recipients of the work, the people whose impact is felt by the work that staff is doing. And so I want to give just a broad overview of how the Equity Task Force will do their work in coordination with LASD staff, and then I'll turn the time over to Bhavna to give a few more details, and then we'll get to some questions. We see a real delineation here between the work that staff is doing to implement the policies and the work that a task force will do in looking at artifacts and evidence of the policy implementation relative to those 9 areas in the policy, to then review and make recommendations to the superintendent about what some possible next steps would be. We know that this work will take time. This is not something that is a quick sort of, let's just review everything that's in place, make a few recommendations and be done. But we see, going back to those 9 big ideas, an opportunity over the course of likely years to do some prioritization of the areas that are most important and invite both members of the staff, our staff, and members of our community to join in the conversation about how things are going and what some next steps are. So to get into some nitty-gritty details, I'm gonna turn the time over to Bhavna.
Thank you, Greg. Marcy, may I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So we just wanted to, first of all, I'm so thankful to be part of this, this work. This is a personal passion of mine, and I'm proud that I'm part of a district that is engaging in this work to move us forward. So we wanted to walk you through what the task force workflow would look like. It's an iterative process, just like with everything we do. We want to collect and measure, and some of the artifacts and evidence we might look at, depending on the meeting's focus, would include case studies, student surveys, student achievement data, looking at student perception data, looking at our employment records. And again, this would be dependent on the focus area of the group. We would then review these artifacts as a task force. We would review what the data, we would shine the light on the data, but also then review what are the successes we are having, what are the possible next steps. So that would be our work. Again, given the focus area of the group or the meeting. We anticipate this is important work, this is critical work, and the value of this work lies in the multiple perspectives that this work will lead us to. And we, while we know that there will be multiple perspectives, as a task force, we want to come together and provide some recommendations for the next steps as well. And it is those multiple perspectives that will make our recommendations on a solid ground. Next slide, please, Marcy. So we wanted to share some work that we are sort of proposing around the launching of the task force. Again, 2 to 3 group leaders will kind of facilitate the task force. Our superintendent has designated Greg Drummond, myself, and Sarah Gerlinger to co-lead and co-facilitate this task force. The most critical part of this task force is stakeholder engagement and participation. And so the way we envision this task force is it will include half of the parents and community members, and then half staff, which might include a classified staff member, teachers, administration. We want to include, trustee, and then we kind of, the way we visualize this work is people who are doing the work and people who are impacted by the work. And we want to make sure that both those voices are included. We've given some thought to how the task force will be selected. And our superintendent has designated the leadership to coordinate the selection of the task force. And the way we are proposing we do this is we will provide notification in the school newsletters around the formation and function of the task force. The interested community members and parents might include complete a survey indicating interest, and then we as a group can review the applications, review the survey results, and make the membership determination. I want to add here that we want to pay special attention to our historically underrepresented groups in our district and the historically underheard groups in our district as well. This is something that is critical for us, that we include all of the voices in here. This is complex and critical work. This is also work that can make one it can challenge some of our very basic assumptions. And so our first step with this task force would be to create a safe and inclusive space and create a space that is built around group norms. And that's something that we want to dedicate some time to. Because it's how this group comes together, how we develop the shared vision of this group will sort of lead to what kind of recommendations, how we engage in these conversations. And so we fully anticipate, working to develop a safe and inclusive space for this group as well. And the work then for us will be to prioritize based on the 9 focus areas in our equity policy. We anticipate providing regular reports 2 to 3 times a year, and then recommendations to our superintendent as well. So we are super, super excited to get this off the ground. We are super, we understand that this is the critical work, and we are happy to answer any questions that you have today.
Before you jump into questions, perhaps I'll just also elaborate a little bit. Our plan is to begin selection of the task force and have that in place as close to the end of October as possible, and then work on those getting started points, building norms, developing a shared vision, and zeroing in on our first priority area with the hopes of getting our first report back to Jeff early in the new year. Will take some time to turn around and gather artifacts and all of that, but we think that we can have things in place to get a report back then.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Greg and Bhavna. Actually, Greg, you answered my clarifying question, when do you expect the task force to be in place? Do any of my other board members have any clarifying questions before I open this up to public comment? Nope. Okay. We will now take public comment on this agenda item. To comment on this agenda item, members of the public should use the raise hand button if using the Zoom app, or press *9 if using your phone. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. Prior to providing your comment, please be sure your microphone is on. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. Okay, let's see. Nope. Okay, I don't see any hands up. So open up to board comments. Jessica, then Steve.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the whole team for all the work that's gone into this. It is a passion of mine also that we live our equity policy, and that we're doing something beyond just a board policy. So thank you for all the work that you have already put into this, and anticipate that you will be. And I'm glad that it's a group of passionate people already dedicated to this. So thank you very much. And I look forward to the results and ways we can improve, because I know we're not perfect. But we have that growth mindset, so we're gonna learn from our mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
I think it starts off kind of echoing what Jessica said, which is I was excited to see who's leading this, because frankly, knowing the individuals involved and how they approach things and the results of things they've done in the past for the district, I was very excited to see the team that's actually leading this for us. So thank you. I think the only other thing I'd say is in trying to put together the broader group, there have been a few folks that have reached out to us during this process that have kind of raised a hand. Jeff, a few names, and making sure that we let them be aware. They may have ideas. If they don't want to be a part of this directly, they may have ideas of people who could provide a good support for what we're doing. And I think one of the things that you've touched around a bit, and I think we have to get more comfortable with not touching around things, being a little more direct about stuff. What launched all this was the Black Lives Matters movement, made us come to a realization that we need to move forward, and dropping what is a learned thing from my side is you don't acknowledge what you acknowledge and what you don't is one of the first things we have to learn to get comfortable doing. And so making sure that's woven into all of our understanding as we move forward, I think is important. So that was the only comments I had, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vladimir?
Yeah, I've got a comment and then I've got 2 questions. My comment is that I've been continually surprised and pleased the number of parents who have come to me to tell me that equity and fairness is important to them, and they've done this unsolicited. So that's really something that I appreciate. My question is, have you considered getting a trustee as a member of the task force?
Yes, we are planning on bringing on a trustee as a member of the task force.
Okay, so I would like to be considered. I won't be offended if I'm not chosen, but I would like to be considered. The other question I have is there a mechanism for students or parents or teachers to make the district aware of either a success in the area of equity, or perhaps an area of growth in the area of equity? Is there sort of a standard thing? Because I think the uniform complaint procedure is way too heavyweight for the kinds of things that we might want.
That's a great question. I heard your question 2 ways. Maybe you can clarify which one it is.
Sure.
The first way I heard was, how would our community become aware of the conversation that the task force has, or the recommendations from the task force? Is that the question, or is it something?
No, that wasn't the question. I was asking, how would individuals communicate to the task force either something that great that happened or something that was not so great that happened, and that we ought to look at? That's all.
Yeah, we haven't. It's actually a really great thing for us to think about. We haven't talked about ways we might gather feedback from the community about what's working in this area, but it seems like as we're considering evidence of what is in place that's working, it would be or not working, we'd want to hear from voices in the community.
Yeah, so I was thinking more somewhat an incident happens and you want to report on that incident. That's all. Whether it's good, bad, or whatever. I think there needs to be a sort of, if you want to use the word, safe way of making that knowledge to, you're bringing that knowledge to the task force. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's great running the meeting because then I can just say I echo what all of my fellow board members have said. I am very grateful to see how this project has, well, I shouldn't call it a project, but to see how this is really developed, and not to sound cheesy, but to like bloomed or blossomed. Like since we first started talking about this equity policy, I remember our board meetings and talking about like this line or that line, or, you know, why are things like this or like that. And to see a task force that is now, that will soon be in place. And I'm also very excited that Greg, Bhavna, and Sarah are the task force leaders. You know, we're in excellent hands. Just a quick question, since Vladimir has indicated his interest. Jeff, how should trustees let you or the task force know if they're interested in serving on the task force?
You can send your interest my way and I will be sure they receive it.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
This is not easy work that you're undertaking, but it is so needed. And I just, on a side note, so I've been working on the Indian American lesson plan for the ethnic studies model curriculum. And it's hard. It's hard because when you're working in a group and you're talking about this is discriminatory or this is racist, not everyone sees things the same way, and trying to come to some sort of consensus of what we want to teach our children about these. I've been in some really hard discussions and some very frustrating discussions, and you know, but it's exciting and it's important. I think about the work that you're doing, you know, focusing on the workplace and the school environment. And so I think we kind of need this all up and down the ladder. So thank you so much for taking this on.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to
All right,
move us along now.
And thank you to Greg and Bhavna and Sarah. Good job.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to H5. Memorandum of Understanding with Los Altos Teachers Association. District staff and the Los Altos Teachers Association have drafted a memorandum of understanding to identify contractual modifications necessary due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Bear, would you like to lead us in this?
Yep, happy to. So we're looking for action this evening for consideration of action to approve. This attached memorandum of understanding between LASD and Los Altos Teachers Association really zeroes in on the evaluation process. Being in the throes of a pandemic presents innumerable challenges, as we have spoken about publicly many times. One of the points raised as we've been meeting with the teachers has really focused on the evaluation process. We evaluate teachers every other year by law, and being in the situation we are, teaching largely from distance, it adds to that challenge of evaluating, providing quality feedback in really a novel situation. So attached is the document that essentially pauses evaluation for 1 year and pushes it to the next year when we assume we're going to be back in person. We are still going to technically do a very minimal evaluation this year for teachers on the evaluation cycle. This is permanent teachers, right, who are on the evaluation cycle. And the intent then is to do something minimal this year, and then next year, when we hope to be back in person and running more normally, we will then have those teachers back on a true evaluation cycle. Meanwhile, those teachers who are not on cycle this year, next year, they will have that minimal evaluation because we need to do it by law. And then the following year, they will be on a regular evaluation cycle, and that will get us back into the normal cadence. I will say that this does not pertain to teachers who are still in probationary status, either their first or second year of probationary status or in a temporary status. Those teachers will still go through formal evaluation process. We are working with our principals on that right now. What that looks like, we know we're going to have to get up to speed on becoming a bit more expert at evaluating under these circumstances, but we really can't let that go because it's critical to ensure that we have the top quality teachers, that we continue with the evaluation process for our probationary teachers. Because we just aren't willing to compromise on that. We want to make sure we have the very best in front of our kids. And I know our teachers want to teach side by side with the very best as well. So the MOU in front of you or before you really codifies that and puts that into a formal agreement that will unfold over the next 2 school years. So with that, I present it to you for your consideration of approval.
Great, thank you, Jeff. Does the board have any preliminary questions before I open it up for public comment? Nope. Okay. We will now take public comment on this agenda item. To comment on this agenda item, members of the public should use the raise hand button if using the Zoom app, or press *9 if using your phone. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. Prior to providing your comment, please be sure your microphone is on. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. And let me just do a quick check and see. Oh, Roberta Pine.
Good evening, board. I just wanted to reiterate that teachers are all creating goals this year, and they always have the students' best interests at heart. And I just wanted to let you know that this MOU is the second of the year for the 2021 school year, and it is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many more concerns from teachers to address in our sessions that are coming. They are working above and beyond in so many ways, and above and beyond our contract even. So I just wish that you continue to have a proactive listening ear to our teachers' needs, which will also in turn support the instruction and our students as well. So thank you for your support, board, and we continue to work hand in hand with the administration to meet the best interests of our teachers, especially as we start to look at this reopening that's coming up. So again, thank you for your support, and keep listening, please, and be proactive. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't see any other any other comments. So I'll open it up to the board. Board comments. Vladimir?
I have a quick question for Jeff. How many teachers do we have on probation that are in their second year?
Second
Roughly.
year probationary teachers. Oh, Sarah just got off. She's still on there?
Just a rough estimate is fine.
Fewer than 10
Okay, that's
is my
fine.
guess
All right.
in second year.
Steve and Jessica, any comments? Okay then. Well then I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Los Altos Teachers Association. Would someone like to make the motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
I second.
Thank you, Jessica. Is there any further board discussion on this item? Okay, so the motion was made by Vladimir, seconded by Jessica. Let's do a roll call vote. Jessica Spicer.
Yes.
Vladimir Ivanovich.
Yes.
Steve Taglio.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item, Memorandum of Understanding with the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103. District staff and the California School Employees Association, Chapter 103, have drafted a memorandum of understanding to identify contractual modifications necessary due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Bear.
Yes, I am going to hand this over to Randy right now. He has been a key part of the team in CSEA negotiations.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, the MOU you have in front of you was negotiated between us and the classified bargaining unit over the summer. It reflects our plans for dealing with the pandemic, as you read, Shali. It addresses some of the health and safety concerns that employees have, and it provides for some job flexibility, which is much needed during these times. So it too is an action item. I'm not going to say any more about it and look for your approval tonight. I recommend that.
Great, thank you, Randy. Do any of our board members have any clarifying questions before I open it up to public comment? Okay. We will now take public comment on this agenda item. Members of the public, please use the raise hand button if you're using the Zoom app, or press *9 if using your phone. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. You'll be given 3 minutes, and please be sure that your microphone is on. All right, I'm just gonna check. Okay, I do not see any raised hands. So board members, do you have any comments? Okay, I don't have any comments either. So can I please have a motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding with California School Employees Association, Chapter 103?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. Can I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Jessica. Any further board discussion on this agenda item? Great, let's take a roll call vote. Oh, sorry. So I have to announce Vladimir made the motion, Jessica seconded, and Jessica, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, and the motion passes unanimously. Okay. Next agenda item, facility projects. Mr. Kenyon will share proposed summer facility projects.
Yeah, I think there's some slides, so we'll get to the slides, Marcy. I think we'll get to the slides.
Would you like to describe the slides?
Sure.
One moment.
So they're like rectangular, some pretty colors here, and so normally, I guess thanks, Marcy. Normally, I would be bringing this to you in May to discuss possible summer facility projects. These are not normal times. So we were in the spring trying to figure out, how we were going to address the pandemic, what needed to be done regarding facilities, not clear as to, when we were going to reopen, what that would look like, et cetera, et cetera. And we were really consumed with trying to figure out our reopening plans and prepare our facilities for the start of the school year, should we open fully in person, ideally. So the facility projects, I postponed them and told our maintenance staff we will have to, wait and see. We need some more time. We need to figure out what we need to do during the summer for getting ready for the start of the year. Now I'm ready to present these to you. These basically represent the priorities that we have for facility needs. Again, normally we'd bring them to you during the summer. So next slide. This slide just basically every year I will bring you something like a summary slide. It will kind of summarize the types of projects. And the key thing here is we aren't adding new facilities to either the district or the charter school, which we often have almost every summer, brought in some new facilities. So the next slide, which I think is the final slide. So these are the actual proposed projects, they're repairs and improvements. These are the priority ones that fit within our budget for projects. Normally we're in the $300,000 range because we have a significant enough ending balance carried over from the end of last year, almost 200,000. I'm looking for projects that are in the $450,000, $460,000 range because we have enough money to do that. Importantly, the 2 fire alarm system replacements are significant in cost, but they are in great need of being replaced. The fire alarms set off false alarms, not continuously, but frequently enough. It's very, very difficult and disturbing to the office staff at both those sites. So this is an action item. I always bring these projects to you, the spending plan, and looking for your approval so we can move forward. Most of the projects will get done when students and staff are not on campus. A lot of the work gets done either on a weekend, a holiday, or during vacation breaks. So we make sure of that. Since it's not summer, we'll be scheduling these at as much off times as possible. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Randy. Board members, do you have any clarifying questions before I open it up to public comment? Steve? Then Vladimir.
Just have one quick one. I noticed the Egan fire system is being replaced. Is that also tagging in coordination with BCS campus there? Is there anything that overlaps there that has to be addressed?
No, it's a standalone, Steve. In a few of our systems, they're just so old and they've broken down.
Randy, Charlie, do you want to say
Oh,
something?
no, I was just calling on you, Vladimir. That's all.
Thank you. Randy, are any of the projects near emergency status where we really have to do them quickly or no? Okay.
No, no.
All right. Thanks.
I just had a quick question, Randy. Since we're doing these projects during the school year, around when kids, well, trying to do it when kids are not on campus, do you project that these projects will be finished by the end of the school year, or will it bleed into next summer? What do you?
No, I mean, we can have many going on at the same time during the breaks, the vacation breaks and holidays. I would expect them, probably all of them get done before January.
Oh, wow. Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Let's open it up to public comment. Let me just check real quick. Okay. I don't see anybody's hand up, so I'm not going to read the public comment blurb if that's okay. Board members, would you like to make any additional comment? No. Okay. All right, then can I please have a motion to approve the repairs and improvements to existing facilities as presented by Mr. Kenyon?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. Can I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Jessica. Any further board discussion? No. Okay, so Vladimir made the motion, Jessica seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Jessica.
Yes.
Vladimir.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
I vote yes, and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks so much. All right, on to board and administration comments. So I'm just kind of going to go around my little tile thing here. Sandra?
Last Friday, we hosted a professional development day for teachers. It was a non-school day for our students. Our junior highs designed their own days to make sure that their needs were met through their professional development. And then for our TK6, we had a variety of offerings and a whole lot of time available for teachers to actually make individual or group appointments with our instructional support teachers so they could get the questions or concerns or support that they need in real time. So we had appointments throughout the morning slots and lots of teachers asking those critical questions on how to make something just a little bit better or tweak it in a little way or make it work smoother for them and for their students. So that was great. And the feedback we got was really terrific from teachers. This week I'm attending a reopening webinar tomorrow with the county office, and Friday I have my partner meeting with Mountain View Wisman in the high school district. And then I think this Thursday we start round 3 of our grade level meetings. So we have our, I think it's second grade meeting after school on Thursday, which has been great, those meetings. That's it.
Great, thank you. Randy?
Nothing tonight, Shelley.
All right, thank you. Jeff?
Yeah, Sandra mentioned I sent all of you or each of you an invitation to the reopening schools meeting tomorrow afternoon. Please be sure to sign up if you haven't. I think you have to RSVP for that. And also tomorrow, we continue the COVID testing, making it available to all staff members. That's going to take place at Egan tomorrow in partnership with El Camino Hospital. Very fortunate to have that. We have a pretty good number of staff taking advantage of that, and that number continues to grow. And then we are, I'll just let you know that I continue to work in a pretty close partnership with the school districts here in the north end of Santa Clara County, Mountain View Wisman, and MVLA and Palo Alto, really around this idea of reopening and making sure we do it safely. So it's actually quite powerful to have colleagues that we're able to compare notes with and really make sure that we're doing this in the safest manner possible for our staff and for our students.
Thanks, Jeff. Jessica?
Yeah, I had the Covington and Block back to school night And I didn't go into it loving the idea that it was going to be just videos, but I ended it loving it. I also did the high school. I actually found it to be easier, and really enjoyed hearing every little piece, and getting the perspective of the teacher, and not being distracted by other parents in the room. Like, they got to get everything out. So I was impressed. I went into it not loving the idea, but after all of them, I'm like, okay, this is the way to do it. I did like it. So that's what I had. I am going to the reopening schools thing tomorrow with the county. And that's it.
Thank you. Vladimir?
Nothing much except whoops, hold on a second.
Where did Vladimir go?
I got this today in the mail. Where is it? Hold on a second. It's still reversed. Jessica, stop laughing, please.
Wait, I think I can read it.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's good.
It's not reversed.
What's that?
We can see it.
Yeah, okay. So reminder to everybody, yeah, damn it, it's still reversed. Everybody, what, it's not reversed?
No, I can read it.
It's reversed for me. Anyway. Reminder for everybody, it's important to vote. That's all.
That's a good, important reminder. Thank you, Vladimir. Steve?
I'll actually speak this time because Brian's not here. Santa Clara County School Board Association had a presentation by Jack on the pandemic and impact on students and things they're doing. I asked Brian if he could reach out and see if they could do a version for us, because I think that would be important for our community here, because I thought it was really well done and what they did and what they looked at. So something to hopefully we'll see at some point on a future agenda.
That's wonderful. That would be really great. Nothing much for me. I'm just working like mad on this Indian American lesson plan for the ethnic studies model curriculum. If anybody within the sound of my voice has a comment or an idea about this, about the Indian American part specifically, please email me today or tomorrow because it's due on the 30th. Anywho, but that's it for me. Thanks, everyone. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Shelly.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye.